All right, we are back in the 24 topics of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. If you have your book, your playbook, please get it out and get ready to follow. We are on topic 13 today, budgeting, and I'm going to be speaking to you between pages 153 and 157 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. But I'm going to start off by sharing something that is shared in our instructor notes from Keller Williams University. Budgeting is a core part of your business practice. If you're writing notes, taking notes, please write that down. Budgeting is a core part of your business practice and can be fun and engaging when it takes on the aspects of a game. And I think that's important that we're able to look at it like that, because I think for so many people, budgeting is a yawn conversation. Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to talk about budgeting. That's not fun. And critically important to running a successful and profitable business. Okay, so I'm starting at the bottom of page 153. The three key areas of your budget model. You'll want to concentrate on three areas in particular. First, you'll want to adopt lead with revenue as your financial motto. Next, you'll want to get into the habit of playing the mental game of red light, green light with expenses. So lead with revenue, very simple. Make money before you spend money. Now, when you get into real estate, there's going to be cost involved that you can't avoid. So, of course, you're going to spend money because you have to. But the goal here is to spend as little as possible or only spend what's absolutely necessary until you start making money. And then playing red light, green light, we're going to get more in depth with that. But the concept is, when you do start to spend money and you invest money in marketing, for example, whatever that amount is, the moment you invested, it is now red light. And it's red light until you see the return on investment. And then it's green light and you could spend a little bit more money. And then it's red light again. And very, very important. All right, Gary goes on to say, this is about getting incremental results from incremental increases in expenses through accountability. And lastly, you'll have to develop self-discipline actually to stick to the budget model. Boy, that's hard to do. So I'll give you a script that you can use in your business. You could use this at home. If a friend invites you to go out to dinner and it's not in your budget, the script is simply, it's not in the budget. So next time somebody asks you to spend money, you get one of those calls that you get from somebody who's selling you the next great lead generation source. Your script is, it's not in the budget. You know, it's November. Call me in January. I'll have a new budget and we'll see if it's in my budget then. But for now, it's no. Lead with revenue. The basic idea is to spend only money that your business has generated, or to put it simply, make money before you spend it. The beauty of the real estate business is that the actual costs associated with getting a single buyer or seller listing is quite low. When we started the Dietz team, I went from being a part of the Gary and Nikki team to starting my own team in 2006. We didn't spend any money on marketing, advertising, lead generation. We had as close to a zero budget as possible for 2 years. And in the first 2 years of the Dietz team, we were selling 40 plus homes a year. And yet we were spending no money on advertising or marketing. Everything we got was from prospecting. And the thing I love about prospecting is it's free. It doesn't cost any money to call a for sale by owner. It doesn't cost any money to go see an expired listing or to take a listing from that had expired. Dropping down a few lines, Gary goes on to say, the key is to start with this approach as early as possible and keep it as a discipline throughout your career. Often the difference between a successful startup business and an unsuccessful one is usually decided before the business ever opens the doors. As we saw in the dot-com boom and bust era, some companies perceived as having smaller upsides ended up outliving many of the high-profile companies by following better business practices. You know, we see that going on right now. You look at some of the real estate companies that are in business, and there's companies out there that are not making a profit. And yet they spend more and more and more money. And eventually they're going to run out of money. And as the market shifts and things get tough and things get tight, unfortunately, you're going to see some of these companies go out of business. If you hold to the lead with revenue approach, it will force you to lead with lead generation and sales, not expenses. When you continually lead with expenses instead of forcing the business to generate its own income, what often comes is a total loss. Now, under red light, green light, you should never be as concerned with how much money you're actually spending as you are with the results you're spending, the results you get by spending that. I have good friends who own a real estate company in Dunedin, and they spend between $20,000 and $30,000 a month on marketing. And when you hear that, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. Well, they're making in gross commission income more than $100,000 a month. The money they're spending is getting the return. It's a good investment. You could spend $20,000, $30,000 a month as long as you're getting $100,000 to $120,000 back. That's money well spent. However, if you're spending $20,000 to $30,000 a month to make $40,000 to $50,000 a month, it's not a good investment, and you're going to ultimately lose money and possibly go out of business. It is not the spending of money that is the problem. The problem is holding the money you're spending accountable for results. And the solution is the same old game, red light, green light. So if you begin the process by leading with revenue and you are always investing money your sales business has already generated, then your job is to hold that investment accountable. You know, I talked to a mega agent yesterday in Coral Springs. He's with another company. He's not with Keller Williams. And we're just chatting. And I'm having this conversation with him. We're on the phone for quite a while. And I mentioned something. He was talking to me about coaching. And I said, you know, if my fee is $500 a month to coach, then you should be getting at least a 4-time return on that, which means you should be making an extra $2,000 a month on a $500 investment. And if you're not, it's not a good investment. It's the same thing as any money that you're spending on marketing. If you're spending money and you're not getting 4 times back, then you should stop spending the money. And his response is, that's exactly what's happening. I'm spending money and I'm not getting the return. I'm like, well, then stop spending the money. Start over. Let's go back to lead with revenue. And then as you start to spend money, spend a little bit, then it's red light and make sure you're getting a return on that. And then it's green light again. He goes, oh my gosh, I got to do that. That's brilliant. Okay. When your costs just creep up with no corresponding increase in results, that is when you really have risk. We call that good money chasing bad business practices. You correct it by pulling out your stop sign and reevaluating the expense. So many real estate agents will do just the opposite. The market's shifting, it's slowing down. We're seeing fewer homes sold. And some agents think the answer is spend more money. So rather than pulling back on their expenses, they're actually pouring more in. And that's the cost creep, which eventually leads to no business, no profit, no business. All right, skipping over to page 156 and stick with the budget. As your business grows from one stage to the next, your actual costs will be very different. However, your percentage may not be. The cost will be different, but the percentage of that expense will not be. So if you have a salary, if you have a full-time administrative assistant, the expense will be different, but the percentage of your gross commission income will not vary that much. What we have discovered is that no matter where you are on the continuum, the percentage remain markedly stable. Figure 18 and 19, that's on page 157, illustrates some general examples of what budgets at various production levels might look like. Now, at the bottom of the page, Gary goes on to talk about the natural rhythm. Lastly, I want to point out to you that there is a natural monthly rhythm to business, which demands that you examine your books at least once each month. Are you doing that? Do you have a profit and loss statement? Are you looking at your expenses on a monthly budget in order to hold the money you're spending accountable? You know, guys, I'm a big believer in modeling. And if you want to build a professional business that makes a profit, model your market centers. At the end of every month, every Keller Williams market center in the company has transmittal. And the transmittal tells the market center administrator, the operating partner, the team leader, how they're doing in reference to their goals for the month, where they're spending too much money, how much profit they're making, how much profit they could be making, where they need to make adjustments, but they can only do that if they're paying attention. You need to once a month, examine your books and make sure that your numbers are where they should be. If marketing is 10% of gross commission income at the end of the month, look at how much money you're marketing, look at your gross commission income, and is your marketing expense 10% of your gross commission income? And if it's not, then you need to reevaluate your marketing expense. Most people don't even pay attention to this. Matter of fact, most real estate agents don't have any idea. If you ask them how much money are they making, they don't even know. If you ask them what's their profit, they definitely don't know that. If you ask the average real estate agent, talk to me about the 30-30-40 model when it comes to budgets, they have no idea what you're talking about. And the 30-30-40 model simply means 30% of your cost are cost of sales. That's the money you're paying your broker, plus the money that is directly associated with the sale of a property. A referral to another real estate agent would be a cost of sales, for example. If you have buyer agents on your team and your buyer agents on a 50-50 split, well, the 50% that's going to your buyer agents is a cost of sales. And your cost of sales should never be more than 30%. Now, the next 30% is operating expenses. That's your salaries, your marketing expenses, your lead generation expenses, rent, technology, phones, everything. And that should never be more than 30%. Well, what's left? 40% to profit. Okay. All right, so Gary goes on to say, I'll go so far as to recommend you keep a monthly budget, but address it on a weekly basis. Now, if you look over at page 157, you'll see this diagram. And the way this diagram is written, I'm going to talk to you about exactly what it says, and then I'm going to make some changes to what it says. All right, first column at the top of the page under $6 million. It's $6 million in sales. If you're making 3%, that's $180,000 in GCI. The cost of sale of $21,000 was created because that was the average company dollar plus royalty fee amongst all of the Keller Williams market centers in the country. Now, it's different everywhere. It might be more than 21,000. It might be less than 21,000. So that leaves a gross profit of $159,000. Now he has expenses here at $59,300. I'm going to tell you, if you're making $180,000 a year, you should not be spending $59,300 on expenses. If you go down to the bottom graph, you'll see those expenses in detailed: salaries, $20,000, 11.1%. If you're making $180,000, I'm not sure that I'm spending $20,000 on salaries. I probably have a virtual assistant. Maybe I've just hired my first full-time administrative assistant. I have a transaction coordinator, but I don't believe you need to spend $20,000 at this level. Under lead generation, $18,000. You can spend zero here. It doesn't have to be $18,000. If you run a prospecting-based business, there's no cost to that. Under occupancy, $1,500. Well, how many of you are paying $1,500 a month for rent? If you're renting office space in your office, the most you're paying is $200. If you have a cubicle, it's $100. And most of you are working from home. I know that because I know you. And your occupancy is zero. All right. Technology, you should not be spending $4,000 a month on technology. That is a complete overspend. The cost for Command is $25 a month. Now, what additional technology are you using and how much are you spending on that? Phone, $2,600. I mean, this book was written when landlines was how people were doing business, and long distance still existed at that time. You should not be spending $2,600 a year on phones. Supplies, $1,800. No. Education, that one I'm going to tell you to keep. That is the best place for you to put your money. Here, I'll give you a visual. The best place to put your money is right here. It's in your education. In your head, in your brain. Equipment, $3,600, no way. Auto expenses, $6,000. Okay, that might be true. Now, let's skip ahead over to 500,000. You're at 16.7 million. Now your cost of sales is $100,000. Why does it go up so much? Because by this time you have a couple buyer agents on your team. And if half of your production, 250,000 GCI is from your buyer agents, then 125,000, that's 50%, is going to the buyer agents. Your cost of sales is going to go up because now you have staff. Expenses, 152,000. So that's everything on the graph below. And again, I think that you can save a lot of money here. I don't think it needs to be $152,500. For example, under salaries, they've got a number here of $65,000. I'm not sure that you're spending $65,000 at this level. I think it can be a little bit less. I think with $500,000, you could do your business with one full-time admin plus a transaction coordinator. And in South Florida, you should be able to hire a full-time admin for between $36,000 and $40,000 a year. Now that number can go up as your production goes up. Again, occupancy, I don't know if you're spending $3,000. Technology, I think $7,500. It's a total overspend again. And all of the categories below, I think you could save money here. And I'll give you where I think your net should be. I talked about 30, 30, 40 just a moment ago. I'll tell you what it should be in each of these columns. So at $6 million, your net should be around 60 to 70%. At $10,300,000, your net should be around 60%. 500,000, still somewhere around 60%. And when you get up to 800,000, that net's going to drop down to about 50%. And at 40 million or 1,200,000, you're at 40%. You're definitely following the 30, 30, 40 model from that point on. 30, 30, 40 was designed for real estate agents who are making more than $1 million a year. Okay. Talk to me. Questions, comments? What are you going to do different? What are you not doing? What should you be doing? And they are per year. Megan, to answer your question, those expenses on page 157, if I said per month, it was just an accident. Those are per year. Tara Carter, boy, so good to have you here today.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
It was great hanging out with you last night too. So what I'm hearing is it reminds me of in the beginning, I